Running 101.
Running 101.
Running 101.
Hello everyone, I'm Nand and welcome to another episode of Running 101. So it seems the winter weather is struggling to kick in, at least that's what it feels like. A quick update from me. I currently have nothing lined up until 2026. If I were to be totally honest, what the last year consisting of two running training blocks back to back has given me is consistency. That would be consistency of running, the strength training, and being able to push myself. While it's quiet, that is what I aim to make part of my regular routine, carry over into 2026, and I would totally advise the same to anyone else. Consistency is why I started. Today we have with us a runner who started running in their late teens. However, they only ran their first 5K in 2016. Since then, they moved to longer distances of 10Ks, their first half in 2019, and even their first marathon, the London Marathon, in 2023. Now, with a total of 3 marathons under their belt, they maintain health, fitness, juggling a family and career in parallel, and are far from eliminating that running bug anytime soon. Asma, welcome to Running 101.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for putting some time aside. How are things with you? How have things been in general?
Yeah, all good. Thank you very much. All good. It's really work and children and training and the old routine really. It's been nice and calm at the moment, so we appreciate it.
One thing that I want to pick up on, so you were out there in Berlin with a lot of us. How was that for you?
Berlin was amazing. It was really a dream becoming true. It was phenomenal experience in terms of preparing for it, but also the crowd, the whole experience of going across, running across the whole city. A very memorable experience and lots of lessons learned, I guess, from that marathon as well to take over for any future experience.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Recovered from that?
Yes. Took it really easy, used all my training blocks and really enjoyed the 4 weeks following it. So yeah, it's been nice to...
So were you happy with how it all went out there?
Not fully, I guess. It's always the case where you give that, you have that expectation of yourself and what you would be expecting in terms of weather, performance, etc. But then it's not exactly what I expected, but then I'm still happy. I finished a marathon, and despite all of the struggles, especially towards the end of the marathon, I think I'm very happy that I finished it. So that's the main part I want to take from Berlin.
I'm totally aligned with you in terms of the outcome and the result. So, Asma, tell us a bit about yourself.
So, yeah, I'm Asma. I'm a mother of 3 boys. By profession, I am a perinatal mental health midwife and work within the NHS and outside of the NHS. So it's sort of a very special role where I follow all the mums and do like special care plans and things like that. My running journey is intertwined a lot with motherhood and mental and physical health.
Mm-hmm. How did it all start for you? I mean, you mentioned it's intertwined, so let's hear about that. How did running start for you?
So a bit of background. I started running when I was 19 years old. So it's been some time now, 2 decades ago. I was never into sport as such, and found it very difficult to engage in sport at school. So, as a teenager, found it difficult, in terms of physical changes. So for me, it was mostly avoidance. But then life had other plans for me. Um, it was a moment of time where many life events happened at once, and it affected everything around me. So at 19 years of age, I was going through divorce, and both my physical and mental health has taken a massive toll. I was also diagnosed with a clotting disorder after having a deep vein thrombosis. So what that is a condition where a blood clot forms in a deep vein, usually at the leg, and which can block blood flow and become dangerous if the clot travels to the lung. So my health was at risk, and the hematologist doctor mentioned clearly if I didn't do something about it, I would be on anticoagulant injection for life. So this meant that I would need to inject myself on a daily basis. And knowing that I've already done that for 6 months, I was really frightened. So I had that feeling of becoming hopeless, and I thought, no, I realized that only myself I could do something about it. I was told that doing a physical activity could actually help strengthen and maintain my health, and even could reverse the symptoms I was having at the time.
Wow.
So there was a lot as well talks about eating healthy, and having a better lifestyle. So that same day, I went out for that first run around the block of houses to just move my body, and I did 2 rounds, and I felt so much better. And during that specific run, that first one, I promised myself that day I would never let myself down. So since then, I made a 360 degrees change. Um, I really thought that if I didn't do this for myself, no one would have.
Of
So
course.
I was determined to reverse these symptoms. And and I think that particular moment in life had built the setting stones for running for me. And also self-trust that I so much needed to face everything else in life at that time. So that's where running came from. But I spent the first decade, what we call today naked running. So it means no watch, no recording of the itinerary. There was no heart rate monitor. So you're probably familiar with this. Some people try it now. I had literally nothing. I just went out because I loved the space it was given me. So I had no music. I was not listening to podcasts. There was no Strava or Instagram. But there was also no structure.
The good
So
old days. Let's call them the good old days.
it was like I reported my runs to myself and just got out to do them. Just like I would run about twice a week, around an hour time, and just enjoyed it as it is. So I would run both on a treadmill or outdoors. I also used to do HIIT and Tabata classes at my local gym, community center. But then one day, after a class, I overheard two ladies talking about racing a 5 and 10K,
Right.
and how this was organized. So I turned and I was like, hang on. I was shocked actually to hear coming across such a thing. So
You mean people gather together and run in huge
yes,
and large numbers together? What are you talking about?
yes. Probably so naive, but I mean, at the time, we're talking about what, 2012, 2013,
Hmm.
around that time. So it wasn't very much, there wasn't lots of social media as it is at the moment. It wasn't, so it was. Yeah, so I didn't know. Obviously, I've heard about athletes competing in the Olympics and and things like that, but I
Sure.
didn't know that people would actually go and pay for to do a race. And so for me, the actual training I had to do, it was within my mind that I could do such a thing, run with a crowd is perhaps very strange, but that was my main challenge. So I started learning. I looked into races, and I actually signed up for my first ever 5K race um, in 2016, and that was um, without training. Obviously, I didn't do some of those training you hear about, like capture 5K, and it was sort of just to prove myself, I guess, that I can do that.
Hmm.
So I did it locally at Queen Elizabeth Park in East London. And then I guess it was a moment of such a actualization moment. So it felt like, oh my God, I can actually do this. Then every year I'll put myself another challenge. So
Hmm.
2016, I run my first 10K, and that was at Finsbury Park in London. Then 2018, I did my first 10 miles. And then again in Stratford, and my first ever half marathon was in Windsor in 2019. So yeah, and then since I've done London twice, 2023 and 2024. And
Hmm.
yeah, and we've completed Berlin together in 2025 very recently.
Well, that's quite something, firstly. From the struggles that you faced, when it comes down to health and fitness, and you kind of get that warning, I think a lot of us can reflect and relate to that sometimes too, because it kind of scares you, doesn't it? When you're told that, you better start looking after yourself, and
Yeah.
especially when you're in that age and like, well, approaching your 20s or something, when you're told that you need to start looking after yourself, it's a bit of a fright you get. And it's like, whoa, I just thought I'm just a kid. Like, why do I need to suddenly start doing this? What's going on? Coming from something like that, not just getting out there for starters, but then being able to run alongside others and throwing yourself in the deep end, working on it from strength to strength over the years. And yeah, like you said, you tackled Berlin, so a huge pat on the back over there. What I'm going to go into is kind of rewind a bit. You've obviously started, like you said, in 2016 was your first 5K. What difference have you seen since? Be that community, representation, the number of people out there, the flexibility of it all. And when I say flexibility, I mean all the good resources that we have at our disposal these days when it comes to that.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that made me so happy when I went out running is that, I would rarely see a hijabi woman, unfortunately. Um, but at the time when I started looking into marathons, and I used to look at Manal Rostam, so a hijabi runner,
Hmm.
completed all her major marathons, and I was just in awe. I was telling myself, "Oh my God, how did she get to do this?" So, in terms of changes, there is so many manas over there now out, which makes me so happy, and that is the big change. That representation, I guess. Um, is out there and it's comforting. It's very comforting. And also the opportunities to run with communities and people who look like you, who understand where you come from and your values. So we have lots of choices nowadays as well, with different run clubs and places we can go to for advice, for coaching, for support. So it's been progressed a lot. But I remember it's always been a very lonely moment. It was my moment to go out there and run. But the way it is now is it's a complete change. It's a different game.
I think everyone fits in now, don't you think? Regardless of where you go, whatever run you turn up to, whatever run or event you sign up to, even if it's like a run club or something that you're going to on a regular basis, or one of the other few that take place throughout the week, you'll definitely fit in.
Not only, I mean, cultural background,
ability as well, yeah.
Abilities, but also shapes. So you could all sorts of shapes of people wanting to run, and which is great as well, that breaking of stereotypes about, oh, they see you don't look like a runner.
Absolutely.
You are actually a runner.
Yeah. It's really positive what running's brought to everyone, I feel. Giving them that sense of belonging, the pat on the back to be able to go the extra mile, to be able to work on themselves better, regardless of, again, what their strengths and weaknesses are. Because a lot of the time, it's just about getting out there. That's the hardest bit, because you wonder, what are people going to think? How do I look? Do I fit in? Do I not fit in? And now you don't need to worry about all that stuff. Really, you don't. I know you might have to be clear of your own personal challenges, but I can assure everyone, once you're out there, it doesn't really matter. The hardest step is taking that first step.
100%, yeah, totally agree.
Okay, so what have you experienced and achieved?
In this whole running journey, I would say my greatest achievement is that I'm better today than what I was yesterday. That is really one of the biggest achievement. I mean, we can talk about events, but I believe that I did an amazing job with what I had. I didn't overthink it. I just went, and I started with just myself and a pair of trainers, and I believed that this could help me somehow in my difficulties, and it did. So that is my biggest achievement. And in terms of the bad things, I would say I've had few injuries and few things. So I remember after my 5K, I had a plantar fasciitis injury. So that is some sort of straining happening in the arch of your. But it was a good thing in a way, because that led me to actually search about how to get a gait analysis and have proper running trainers. My other biggest injury was a hip injury, and that was towards the end of my training block for my first ever marathon. Very enthusiastic. It was just, I was following that plan to the point. And it was clearly having
taking a toll on your body.
Yeah, it was too much. It was very heavy running, and it was an overload. So I was not taking enough rest time. So it was a good learning point. So that's how I see it. Any fallback is for you to learn from. But I think the biggest one really is my pregnancies, because all the way back, I've always exercised and I've always run. But pregnancy, I would say, is the world's toughest, hardest experience ever.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to challenge you on that. Let's just continue.
I mean, how can you even explain when you've run for millions of times and boom, just because you've had a baby, everything is reversed tenfold back. But for me, it felt like life's teaching you that you have more to learn about this and how to overcome these obstacles, no matter how big or difficult. And also, I've always had high risk pregnancies, so I had to reduce the impact of my physical activities. So I did more gentle workouts, which unfortunately put me out of shape for my running. And I wasn't able to run from the second trimester of pregnancy up to after giving birth. And I think so I've given birth 3 times.
Hmm.
Becoming pregnant and getting older doesn't help necessarily as well. Obviously, pregnancies are all different, and mines have always been different. And but after my firstborn, I recovered after a year. We usually hear the term bouncing back, but I actually don't like using that term because it feels very unrealistic and unfair. It shows that sometimes the expectation of women can oversimplify and diminish the real physical and emotional changes.
Yeah, easier said than done, right?
Absolutely. And all moms are different in all aspects, and their recovery is very individual. So it's not a race. Some women might recover quicker, some other that some might just go back the day after. And it's important, I think, in this whole journey, what I've learned to be kind to oneself and focus on our healing. Consider it as a growth and adjustment rather than pressure. So after my second, it took me 2.5 years. So the recovery was much longer. And after my third, I'm just back at it after 5 years. So every time it takes much longer to recover and go back to your run.
Right.
So, for example, I don't like having these type of measurement as such, but I would say my personal best as a 5K is the first ever race I've made. Since then, I was struggling to get back at it. But so obviously, we're not talking about only performance here.
Sure.
We also talk about how we feel. So this is how I felt, that I wasn't back to how I used to feel so good when I run until only recently. Yeah, and then that I am well enough to do what I love in the way I want to do it. So yeah, and I think especially it was very frustrating for me not to be able to go back to running straight away. We know, for example, or I couldn't run as well as much during pregnancy. So that was because we know that pregnancy hormones play a very important role in all the physical changes. And but they remain part of the picture, and then challenges. So it impacts your joints, ligaments. So it's not only a matter of, yes, I've got a high risk pregnancy, I can't run. It was more, everything's aching. I can't do what I used to love and enjoy. Don't get me wrong, there's no harm in continuing to exercise during pregnancy, but definitely there is always a need for a risk assessment when it comes to running. You've got your heart rate goes up.
Would you say that both during as well as after?
Yes.
As in you keep a track of these things during, obviously, but
Yeah.
again, you need to get that assessed afterwards to see where you are in terms of going out there once again.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, during pregnancy, you'd feel your heart goes up quicker, your blood volume is increased, so you'll feel out of breath faster. There is so much changes that already puts you out of shape before even you think about it. And then comes after the birth, and then you've got other things other than physical. So you've got what we call the, the postpartum hormonal crash, where so much pregnancy hormones drops after the birth, whilst others raise to support the breastfeeding, the recovery and bonding. And then you lack enough sleep. When would you find the time to go and run? So for me, it was more sort of a survival mode as well, in terms of just trying to navigate that period, but also dealing, recover and repair that after the birth, because I've had instrumental birth, which means, quite traumatic in terms of quite impactful on the body. And I needed every time much longer period to heal and get back at it. But I always managed to telling myself that I've done it before. I've done it for such a long time. I would tell myself, Asma, you can do this. You can definitely do this. Small steps. I think my first run/walk on a treadmill was like maybe 2 months after the first of my 2 months after the birth of my third child. And that was very, very difficult.
What year was that?
That was 2020. So that was COVID as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was, a very, very tough time and very frustrating. But at the same time, I think what helped me is keep moving. So not only the running bit, but also doing, I very much like all sort of HIIT classes and things like that. So I do that from home, just watching videos and do them.
But you've all three of your marathons have been post 2020. So
Yes.
there you go. That little pep talk, that little push that you gave yourself, knowing that you've been there, that you've done that, and that you can do it again.
Yeah.
It brought you back to it, and you were able to not only go further, but push yourself more to do it, not just once, twice, 3 times so far. And let's see, hopefully there'll be more times coming your way again with that, with just coaching yourself and inspiring yourself to go the extra mile, right?
Yeah, I think we are our best, when you find yourself and with yourself, especially during a run, that's when you can have that conversation and, I really have that honest talk about why do you do this? And
Yeah, I think we can either be our best friend or our worst enemy at the same time too. It's down to how we think and what we put ourselves through. You need to, if you're able to push yourself through it, well done, that's great. But yeah, you can only try. And if you are able to encourage yourself that far, that's great. There's nothing wrong with seeking additional help sometimes, I feel. And that's where running alongside others really helps too.
yeah.
That's the advice I would give. So you mentioned a few injuries there. Like one thing that I can relate to is the plantar fasciitis. And yes, it was troublesome. It was awful. I'm going back to mid 2024, actually, just before my training block started for London. And it was painful having it on both my feet, actually. It was a huge learning curve. Pretty much became the go-to guy to advise anyone with plantar fasciitis after that, to be honest. But it was an eye-opener. Taught me all about stretching, taught me all about how strength training is so important. And I go on about it non-stop now to anyone.
Yeah.
And they might feel why, but the only reason is I feel if you're not doing the right stretches, doing the right strength training, you might as well give up running or thinking about doing the long distance running, I would say, or adding any extra miles to what you've achieved so far. Because it helped me immensely. It kind of gave me the support that I needed. Took the pain away, for starters, actually. And it opened up a whole new world as part of the running universe for me. So that's one thing I can definitely relate to, and I'm glad that you were able to overcome that. But in terms of your other injuries that you faced, do you have any particular training in place to support and assist you?
So the main thing I've accessed physiotherapy in terms of gaining that strength back again to the affected muscles. But also I've learned through all these injuries or difficulties is that strength training, like you just mentioned, is non-negotiable. For me to continue enjoy running, I have to do my strength training. I tend to sometimes overlook it, or I find it much easier to just put the trainer on and just go for a run. And I don't know, it should come more natural as well, because I've been doing it for a long time. I find it very, very, a bit more, it takes more time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It does become that boring thing that you have to do, right? But the output and the result of incorporating that as part of your regular routine and your training, I can't say anymore. It helps so much.
I hope really I don't get any more injury or any other injury. But I think there is always something to learn anyway. Because I know, for example, for myself, I need to find a better way of fueling, for example, for my long runs. I still haven't figured out the best way. You could tell me, but you've done 3 marathons. No, I have not figured out what works best for me in terms of fueling so far.
Would that be in terms of how the type of fueling you use, or when to use it, or like what are the challenges there, do you feel? And not just you. I think it's an open challenge for everyone, really, but specifically to yourself, yeah.
So I personally went for a brand that is very known, used by athletes, and very recommended. But I sort of, you know, kind of forced myself into, yeah, that's what is needed. And then this is for my marathon, my first marathon training. And then actually I realized, no, it gave me so much cramp. It did not work at all for me. So I was sort of hiding it. I thought, no, I needed something. So I just had that for the time being. And on the day, and actually I hardly used them because I could not tolerate them. Second marathon, same things that I've trained with. I changed a more natural brand based on honey, and that again, it was not the correct thing.
Just to add over here, for those who might be listening, might be learning, and they want to take something away, were you adding these fueling techniques or the things that you were experimenting with during your training block too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nothing new on race day. Mainly incorporating it within my training block. So for my first marathon, I had a 20 weeks training block, and that would be a gradual incorporation of these gels at a specific timings and so on. I would label them. and then for my third marathon, I thought, no, I'm not going to use any of these gels. I'm going to go back to when I did my first ever half marathon. And there I only used water, dates, and I put some Himalayan salt in my dates. That worked absolutely fine for my half marathon, but obviously it's a different game. But I'm still not 100%. I feel like that I still need something else beside that.
So you tried what you did on your first half marathon in Berlin then, right?
Yes.
And how did that work for you, or not work for you?
I think that worked brilliant. That worked really well. The date and then my drink was electrolytes, so I would have I would swap in between. But then in Berlin, I made a mistake. When we say nothing new on race day.
Oh man.
I saw some apples and
Oh my god.
That was a very, very bad idea, and I got really ill.
Oh no. Well, to be honest, the moment you mentioned nothing new on race day, and I said, oh man, that's because yeah, I've got my own nothing new on race day story, but hey, I'm not gonna share that today. Let's keep going.
You should do that.
No, not today. Not today. We'll save it for another day.
Yeah.
So the apples let you down. Funnily enough, it reminds me of our last runner, Azza, who was on and mentioned how he tried some pickled stuff during his first marathon in sorry, his second marathon, but it was his first this year in Stockholm. And yeah, it didn't go down too well. And still, when I mentioned pickled, oh my God, it just sounds awful. So I don't know how he did that.
I don't know. I think the mind wanders at that moment. You're like, oh, why not? You're very full of endorphins and, very, yes, why not? But no, that was a very, very bad idea. I really struggled towards the end.
So Asma, obviously, like you mentioned, you had your challenges during not just once, twice, three times during your pregnancies and stuff. How were you able to get started after that again? Like, what were the first steps that you took? Pardon the pun here, it's not intended, but literally getting back out there again.
How I went back again is I'm a very organized person, so I would prepare usually on a Saturday or on a Sunday. I would prepare my workout schedule for the week, and that helps me sort of just go for it, not overthink it. Because if nothing is prepared, then I know nothing's going to happen. So for after having my children, I used to start gradually back again. So I would start with one session a week. That means, light workout, light workout on the treadmill, jog, walking uphill, something along the way, but once a week. I would do once a week for about 2 months
Mm-hmm.
and then gradually increase it. Today, it depends whether it's high season, low season, depends of commitment, but this would lead me to work out up to 5 times a week. So yeah, after each of them, it helped me to have that structure, if you see what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Start very slowly, so one session and then 2 sessions a week and then 3 sessions a week, and then take it from there. I'm not there for hours. It's usually half an hour. With the years, I understood that I needed to be gentle with myself and patience. Patience is so important because you get very, very frustrated. You think like, I haven't, I could do this and now I can't even do it anymore. So yeah, it's being patient and having that structure back again. The main thing was that I needed to have physiotherapy. So after each of the pregnancies, I needed some core workout. So I usually would access. It's a bit more common in France and other countries. It's like part of the National Health Service.
Right. Okay.
It's not anymore here unless you've got some complications, but it's pelvic floor exercises is actually so, so important. So the pelvic floor are some muscles that are actually carrying everything, your organs, they are supporting your bladder, and especially during pregnancy, it gets very weak. Some of the women, it takes some time for them to go back to that toned pelvic floor, and sometimes we need help. And I've always accessed help after each of my babies to work on those pelvic floor muscles, and it's so, so important getting that support, getting back to the core and the pelvic floor muscles back to normal, and then tackle the workout.
And that is something that you would probably advise and encourage, I guess. I mean, to be honest, you've been able to get the assistance and help out here. So although, like you mentioned, it's not part of the usual cycle, it is still possible to seek that assistance.
Yeah, that is actually part of my role as well, because as a midwife, we usually talk about most of the time we signpost to some exercises that you could look online. And I would definitely advise that every and each woman who given birth, whether it normally or via cesarean section or any other type of birth, it does not matter. It's important to get the core strength back before any sport.
Asma, based on what you've learned, obviously you've been running for quite some time. You've been able to push yourself even more, like we've covered today, doing the excess mileage at the same time, 2-3 marathons, planning for more further down the line. What would you advise someone who are just starting today? Where should they start? What would you do differently as well if you were to start today?
I would simply say movement is so, so important to be able to move, and having that body that is being gifted to us is such a precious thing to have. So we need to look after it. So if someone wants to start running, I would say moving is so important. It doesn't matter whether you want to be running, you want to be doing any other type of exercise, because we know research has shown that you've got a better life outcome if you exercise and you do in some sort of movement. And at the same time, know your why you want to do this. I think that helps pinpointing, and that is your driver as well to go out sometimes when you don't feel like it, and to keep you consistent with what you wanna do. Start slowly, know your why, and keep doing it.
Where would you tell someone to go and start today?
I think something they haven't done and they've only started this week. So after this year, all these years of running, I've started my first track session this week. Obviously this aligns with my why. I want to progress. I want to keep challenging myself. So go to someone who's professional, join maybe some track sessions. You will learn massively. I've learned so much yesterday.
Just the one day.
Yes. Because you're still learning every
Sure.
single time, which is very humbling actually. And that's what I like very much.
Are park runs at all part of your regular routine?
Yes. Yeah. So I think I discovered them after my second marathon. And that's when I did my first ever park run.
So you went back to teach everyone how to do it right.
So yeah, go out there and do your 5K and seeing so many people from all different ages, background. It's lovely. I enjoy it, but I'm not consistent at it. So I am considering being a little bit more consistent. But my little one actually is more consistent than me. I guess he's done more park runs than me. And he goes to junior park run, which is for small children from the age of 4, I believe, up to 13. So yeah, it's a great space. I get to run with him over there as well.
Oh, that's great. I mean, a good way to keep yourself going at the same time inspiring the next generation to be able to do that too. And it's a good way to spend some time with the little ones too, I guess. That's something that we might miss out sometimes when we're so focused into our training plans. It does take a toll on the family, but there are other ways to work around that, such as junior park runs. So yeah, good shout there.
Yeah.
Any plans further down the line? Any goals that you've set for 2026 and or beyond?
Yeah, so I've got a 10K race coming up in February, and I'm giving
Okay.
myself enough time to actually, with a proper training block, to just tackle that. It sort of keeps me organized and have something to look forward to.
That apple at Berlin really did throw you off, didn't it? Because you're talking about training for a 10K.
No, but I think it's not only about distance, to be honest, because we can challenge ourselves in a 5K.
Absolutely.
It does not matter. What is challenging is for you to keep consistent and to be saying to yourself, today is a workout. I'm going to give all that I've got. I feel that is a challenge in itself. So for me, my 10K, it's a little challenge that I'm going to be doing as well with my husband.
Good. No, sounds good.
Yes.
And so you'll be training together on that?
I don't know. I'm going to give him the plan. We'll see. We'll start off with the park runs.
Nice. Sounds good. It sounds like a good way to keep it going, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, park runs definitely will help with that, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then I think I'd love to do one marathon a year because I feel that my understanding of my own body and what I can tolerate and what I can handle with all the other commitments, whether professional or as a mum, I think it's important for me to have one big, one medium, one small goal. So the 10K is a small goal, and my big goal would be to do another marathon for 2026. But we'll see.
Great. No, thank you so much for sharing all that with us today. Your experience, your journey, the insightful detail that you've been able to share, reflecting on your own scenario, situation, and circumstance over the last couple of years too. No, well done, honestly, Asma. I'd have to say, sounds like it's been a lot to go through, but you're on the right track. Yeah, hopefully there's more goals and more positive milestones coming your way further down the line.
Please, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Keep going, keep it consistent where possible. Focus on your fueling and nutrition. Look after yourselves, and let's catch up on another episode of Running 101 very soon. Bye for now.